Welcome to Ducks on the Pod, a baseball podcast with your hosts, Matt Welker and Jake Mosley.
All right, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Welcome, everybody, to Ducks on the Pod, the very first episode. I'm your host, Matt Welker, with my co-host, Jake Mosley over there. How you doing today, Jake?
I'm doing pretty well. How are you?
Fantastic, brother. You ready for 2025 season?
Yeah, I can't wait to get into it. So much news to cover. Big shout out to you, obviously, for kind of putting this together, turning into doers and not just dreamers. So we've been talking about this for a while. So thanks for all
you
the
talk
hard
baseball
work.
all the time to begin with. Might as well record it.
Yeah.
Can you hear me just fine since we're doing a little episode 0?
Yeah.
So I can hear you great.
Yeah, we're good to go.
All right. But yeah, so as you know, but the people don't, our main mix here is to kind of mix the personality of like a baseball podcast, but then also talking analytics. So we don't really have crazy advanced analytics prepared today. But I was thinking in the future, we could have a breakdown of one like sabermetric stat a week, something like that. Break it down, explain it to people and why it matters and why it doesn't matter.
Dude, I'm down to try everything. So we can roll through it. We might learn a little bit. It might be a little rocky at times, but yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. All right, deal. All right, well, let's get into it. So today it's going to be a shorter episode than what we kind of plan on in the future. But this is mostly kind of a test just to kind of get some stuff out there, get some feedback from the people. But so we're going to talk about like 15 to 20 minutes-ish, maybe more, maybe less, just on kind of some of our favorite offseason signings. We're not going to get into crazy detail because within the next 6 episodes we plan on doing, we're going to cover the divisional previews of every division. Each episode will be its own division. And we'll really get into each team and we'll talk about like the not household names that nobody really knows and get into it.
Yeah, that's the fun stuff.
The stuff that will put people to sleep. But we're going to try to make it exciting. So yeah, we're going to talk some good free agents, our favorite trade, and then kind of look at some of the PECOTA standings predictions because those just came out last week, and just kind of discuss how that changes, but based on our thoughts, and then also from last year. Then we'll kind of just get into some previews of some other stuff. But so we'll go ahead and get started, Jake.
All right.
Not in necessarily any order, but who's the first name you're throwing out?
For top signing?
Yep.
So starting with the expensive end of the signing tree, Tony Taters. Anthony Santander. Yeah. Obviously with the Blue Jays.
I love Tony Taters.
I do. One, I think he's really good. He's got a lot of power. I don't think a lot of people necessarily respect him as much as he should be respected around the league. Kind of overshadowed just by everything the Orioles have going on. Obviously, they have a million really good players. Last year it was all about like Jackson Holiday coming up, even though that didn't really pan out last year. I just feel like Santander gets overlooked. Obviously, he got a lot of money, so the league in the front offices aren't necessarily looking at him as a super like value guy or a not household name. But I think what he does for the Blue Jays is he really like extends their championship window. If they don't get him, I don't think they go out. They don't get Max Scherzer. They don't get Vladdy to stick around.
I love that signing. The Scherzer signing.
The Scherzer, yeah, dude.
I don't have that on here, but
all right. Well, let's talk about it for just a quick second then. Like, I mean, the dude's old. The dude's hurt.
Yes,
but if he can be on the mound.
Yeah, I just think it's crazy they gave him. Wasn't it 15?
I don't know the exact dollar amount.
I think
but
you did. You keep talking. I'll look it up.
Dude, just like Scherzer and Kevin Gausman, who like their staff is old, but their staff could be good.
Yeah,
from a rotation. Like Bowden Francis is like the only guy who's not over 30 yet, and he's pretty good. Like I think Barrios, it kind of stinks to be honest with you. He's projected as a number 2 starter. But I think they have enough pieces with their starting rotation at least to be competitive. I mean, they're in a really tough division, so I don't expect them to win it by any means, not even necessarily make the playoffs. But I think what they've done with the Santander signing is say, like, we're keeping our core together at least for another year, at least for half a year. Yeah. If we have to blow it up,
they're going
to
be a fun story this year.
Yeah. Worst comes to worst, he's a good bridge player. But when you think about the lineup construction, you know, him and Vladdy kind of playing off each other, protection in the lineup, you obviously hope Bo Bichette gets better versus what he was at last year.
Anything better. He was terrible last year.
They signed Andres Jimenez, so kind of just adding, like, you know, that 7-hitter in the lineup, which I'm not saying he's like one of the best players in the league by any means, but like he's good enough, I think, to still be on a competitive team. I think that signing kind of went a little bit under the radar. Obviously, you still have George Springer. He's getting up there in age. He's 35, but he can still have a good year. He hasn't really shown any signs. Yeah, he hasn't shown any signs of slowing down at all. So I think they have enough pieces there. They have Kirk behind the plate, like, and then they still have a couple of depth pieces. Like Schneider right now is not in their projected everyday lineup. He's, you know, good enough, I think, to really like pick up where there might be injuries. So just the depth that Santander gives in the lineup, and just how he fits in the lineup with the protection, kind of boosting those players that you need to, you know, perform a little bit better than they did last year. But I think they're more than capable.
Yeah, their lineup's interesting. I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah.
Will Wagner and Nathan Lukes, two people I'm not too familiar with.
I'm surprised. Will Wagner.
They just traded for Miles Straw too.
Yeah, I'm looking at
maybe they signed him. Honestly, I don't remember exactly how it went, but
they did. Yeah. Oh no, they traded him. Traded for him.
Yeah.
I mean, Miles Straw is not a hitter; he's a defender. No. But Will Wagner, I was surprised to see him like just penciled in there as the 5th hitter right now. I don't think that's where it will end up. I mean, they traded for the guy though. Like they have to see something that they like. Obviously, he has very little MLB experience, but is their 27th ranked prospect in their organization, which
is crazy because he was drafted in the 18th round.
I know, like he's got to be peaking, which is like good for him. Like maybe he's good. I don't know, but like you're just going to throw him in the middle of your lineup and hope for the best, I guess, at this point. I feel like if there's a weak spot in the lineup, it's like your 5th hitter is Will Wagner.
Oh yeah. Do you see them trying to get Bregman at all?
It would be a great fit. Yeah. I am not.
I like Bregman the most, either back in Houston or in Boston.
Mm-hmm.
But that'd be an interesting fit here.
I like him a lot more in Boston than here.
Yeah.
I think the Blue Jays have a need for him. I don't think throwing money at Bregman protects them from maybe the most likely scenario, which is this thing ends up getting blown up anyways before you can really compete.
Yeah.
So it's like then at that point you have an aging Bregman. You're dishing out a ton of money for him, and I'm not convinced he's all that good, to be honest. Like he's obviously a top tier third baseman. Don't mean this as a hot take, but like the amount of money he's asking for, I don't see it, man. Like you were in Houston, like a right-handed hitter's paradise for power.
Oh yeah,
with the Crawford.
Well, in Boston would be the same thing,
right? But Boston, he could continue it, whereas in Toronto, like
I almost think he needs to go to one of those two to protect his legacy.
Yeah,
I'm sure he'd still hit plenty of home runs. Like I'm going to look this up, but like he is an absolute Crawford box merchant. Like that guy just absolutely crushes those boxes.
Yeah. I mean, he's a really good at bat. Like he's a good player. Obviously, he's going to help any team that he goes to, especially like since we're talking about the Blue Jays. Like they have a need, right? Like Ernie Clement's not going to set the world on fire anytime soon. Like he's been in the league enough. Like we know what he is. He's just a guy.
So this is interesting. So he hit 26 home runs last year. They're saying that if he played all games at Fenway, he would have only hit 22. I wonder his
line drives.
His pull home runs must be line drives, yeah. So Toronto, it actually says 29. So he'd gain 3. Then Houston would be 31. So I don't know. If it comes to the Reds, he did 36 last year. That's 5 more than any other stadium. Sorry.
Yeah.
The White Sox is 32.
The T-ball
going
field.
on a tangent here. Yeah. Hey, you go to those games too, buddy.
I know.
All right. So I'm going to go with mine.
Too good to pass out.
Yeah. So my 3 are not in any sort of order.
Right.
I guess I'll go less sexy to most sexy. So I'll start with Christian Walker.
All
right. First off, I love watching that guy play. He gloves it with the best of them.
Yeah,
I looked it up. He's the second best first baseman as far as fielding run value goes. And I feel like his contract it makes sense. He's turning 34 this year, so he's getting up there. Mm-hmm. It's 3 years, $60 million, so $220 a year. Obviously, no opt outs, but he's a great hitter. He's going to crush the Crawford boxes, like we were just talking with Bregman there. But as you know, I don't particularly care about defense, but obviously,
I was going to say
the second best first baseman in the league.
The fact that you led with that, was plus 10,000 on my book. That you're like, he's a good defensive player. That's where we started episode 1, knowing that you don't think defense matters that much as long as you're
hold on. I think it matters. I don't think elite defense really matters that much.
Yeah, I agree.
If you don't just have dumb errors all the time, you can put anybody out there in defense. I care about your bat way more than I care about your glove.
Yeah.
And I would hope that a lot of people agree with me, even though I don't think they do. But he's also just a huge upgrade over what they've gotten from Jose Abreu the last 2 years and John Singleton. I mean, slots right in at the 4-hole, right behind Alvarez, and kind of just protects Jordan a little bit, lets him swing away.
I think they're doing a really good job of not really having the money to do anything crazy, but they're still maximizing the competitive window that they have, knowing this thing's all about to come crashing down. If they're, or at least there's a changing of the guard, right? Like if they hit on all their prospects, of course they can still continue the dynasty, but it's not going to be through a bunch of these free agent signings of the Juan Sotos of the world.
No. I would have been shocked if they even were remotely close to getting him.
Yeah.
Just because it doesn't make sense. I don't think they were anyway, but
no.
Do you have anything else on Christian Walker or the Astros? I got to think though that makes it harder for them to get Bregman back. But I think if they want him back, they're going to get him back.
Yeah, I wonder what Bregman's thought process is on the whole thing. He's a Boris guy, isn't he?
I believe so.
So he might not sign until halfway through spring training for all we know.
Yeah, I think he is actually getting a little exposed on the stats because his stats aren't that great. Mm-hmm. But again, he's
remember he was doing that, like throwing bounce passes to second to turn 2 because he had like the yips. Remember he was trying that out? Yeah. Oh man, hysterical. I got to send you a video of that. Yeah, he just feels a ground ball at third, and like he was practicing. I think it was last spring training, throwing a bounce pass.
I bet Altuve
to second.
Love that.
Why? Just because he's short?
No, I was kidding. I bet he hated it.
Yeah. Hey, pick this real quick.
Can you imagine just being on the hook for catching a bounce pass every single time?
Yeah. I mean, the couple I saw was pretty nice, but I mean, you throw that in one like little foot divot or something. If a runner was on second the previous inning,
and it just goes into the outfield. Potential run.
Yeah. It just it's so unnecessary. Just throw the ball to dude's chest. You're an MLB third baseman.
Stop thinking. Just whip it.
After this, I'll send you a video of it.
Every time I get the yips in softball, I just start throwing it as hard as I can, and it usually fixes it. Yeah, However, when you're playing second, you can't really do that.
No. Just drive it through your chest.
10 feet away from your first baseman.
Yeah.
All right, who's number 2 on your list, unless you had more?
Yeah, so this is kind of the middle tier, although upper middle tier. Jurickson Profar.
Ooh, I thought about picking him, but I think it's weird because I don't know if he's going to have the same season.
So that's the interesting part here, right?
Yeah.
But that's also why I think he's a great fit on the Braves, because you don't need him to have that same season whatsoever.
Oh, yeah.
They got him 3 years, $42 million. Pretty.
How much do you love their outfield?
Dude, I love their entire team. They are so good, and they're on the best contracts in baseball. The fact that their entire team pretty much is under contract for the same total amount as Juan Soto is ridiculous. and they're still World Series contenders. But I mean, guy was an all-star last year, right? Like, still kind of slightly unproven in my eyes. Like, 30, he did it 1 year.
How old is he?
That's a good question. He's been around forever because he was like the number one prospect back in the day. I should have pulled this before. That's on me. That's what happens.
No, you're good. He's 31. Yeah, he's 31. So, probably he'll be 32 this year, which is interesting. I thought he was a little bit older than that.
Yeah, he's just been around forever.
Yeah. I thought
we almost have the same birthday. Nice. Fellow 93 guy. Yeah, I mean, obviously, like, he was insanely good last year.
Oh, yeah. He basically he led their team.
Is there something fishy going on with the Padres? I don't want to be throwing out.
Well, so their owner died, and they've been having control issues. There's like people that want to come in and buy it, but then also the family is like, no, it's ours.
I'm not talking like that.
No, I understand that, but like I feel like they haven't made any moves because of that.
I'm not talking about that.
Oh, okay, then go on.
I'm talking Astros-esque fishiness.
Oh.
Like,
why do you say that?
You're trying to chase down the Dodgers. You know you can't compete from a skill contract level.
Mm-hmm.
But Profar just shows up, goes nuts, right? Like, dude came from Colorado. He was hitting 236 in Colorado. You know how hard that is to be that bad in Colorado?
Very.
And then you move to the Padres mid-season. I mean, he only played 14 games for the Padres in 2023, but hit 295. So just overnight, became a 300 hitter, a 280 hitter plus. Like, last year, he ended 280, but like at the beginning of the year, he was on fire.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like you said, he was an all-star.
Yeah, and like
a lot of big names in the NL in the outfield.
I mean, 254 was his previous best year, average-wise.
That's crazy. It's hard to believe that
a
guy just figures it out
overnight. How do
you just overnight figure that out?
It's not change of scenery, right? He played in Texas. He played in Oakland. He played in San Diego.
The Rockies twice, right?
Played in the Rockies. Yeah, like, he's been all over the place. Played for the Padres twice.
Oh, it's Padres twice, not Rockies twice.
Yeah.
Well, what were his stats in San Diego the first time around?
Not good. Not great. I mean, he played the majority of 2 years. He had a total WAR of 3. And his highest that he hit was 243.
Probably platoon. Yeah.
In those 2 years.
I like Profar. He's fun to watch. And it is fun to see a guy peak after you've known his name for years.
Mm-hmm.
I hope he does well.
Yeah, I mean, he very well could just be a late bloomer, right? Like, top prospect. Finally
like
figures
you said,
it
in
out.
That lineup, like, he doesn't need to be great.
Particularly with the guys who, like, aren't American. Like, there's a lot going on as a teenager.
Oh, yeah.
Just trying to deal with, like, your life stage and, like, the change there. So, like, completely
comes from a very small island country.
Exactly. That is like culture shock.
Yeah.
So
to just go to middle of Atlanta.
Yeah, exactly.
Or sorry, I forget where he started, but yeah,
Texas. Yeah. But
there's some good players to come out of Curacao, by the way.
He doesn't. Oh, I'm sure there are. Yeah.
He's also for one.
Dutch. Is Curacao owned by?
Curacao is owned by the Netherlands. Yeah. Okay. That's why Xander Bogaerts plays for the Netherlands.
Yeah. Same with Profar. But they don't. The Braves don't need him to be all-star Jurickson Profar.
No, they just,
if he regresses a little bit, like they didn't sink that much money into him in the grand scheme of things. He's solid, at least. Like, he's going to give you a good AB. He's going to play the field fine. And wherever they end up slotting him in the lineup, like, he's not
where he will hit.
Yeah, me too. It's just like he doesn't need to have 25 home runs or any of that. He just needs to be a good, solid player and give them additional options and depth.
Yeah. I was getting really confused because Fangraphs Roster Resource has him hitting second. I was like, why would you move Acuna and Albies out of there? But Acuna's technically still on the 40-man.
Yeah, that's why.
So until he's off, they slot him in there. I would assume he's going to be hitting like 6th or 7th.
Right. That's where I would put him.
Yeah.
It's either that
Assuming
or you platoon it and you pitch second. What's that?
Well, I guess Acuna leads off.
Yeah.
It's interesting that Abby's is slated that 6th there.
I mean, they can do whatever with their lineup. They're all just good all-around hitters. Everybody in their lineup, like Austin Riley.
Oh, yeah. They're real good and fun.
They could actually just roll the die and run out a random 9. Like, just use your everyday starters, right? Your 9 guys. Throw them in whatever order, and I think it would still work the majority of the time.
Yeah, and their rotation's really good, too.
Yeah.
Like, this also has Strider on the 40-man. Or I keep saying 40-man, 60-day.
Yeah.
But, like, even with Sale, Ronaldo Lopez, and Schwallenbach, like, that's a great 3. I don't know much about Grant Holmes, and I remember Ian Anderson was supposed to be really good.
Yeah, like 5 years ago.
In the minors. Yeah, the COVID season, he came in and just absolutely shoved versus the Reds in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's a rotation where you're like, all right, we might be exposed during the year, but once you get into the playoffs, you could kind of only need 3 guys.
Well, and Strider will be fully healthy by then. Chris Sale's making an absolute comeback at his age 36 season.
He's just so funky. He'll be good until the day he decides.
Oh, yeah.
He can't do it anymore. All right, who's your number 2?
Number 2, we have Mr. Burns, Corbin Burns.
Yeah.
So for multiple reasons, so he's going into his age 30 season.
Yep.
I think my favorite thing about the signing is that it was just absolutely just so out of the blue. Like nobody linked Burns to the Diamondbacks whatsoever. Like I don't even think they pursued him very strongly. Like as you know, that class I was in, the guy he does operations for the Diamondbacks. He was also acted like he was baffled that they got him.
Yeah.
But so generally speaking, you look at $10 million per expected WAR, like it's good value there. I think his contract is $9.1 million per WAR, I believe. But he's just an absolute stud. I think he'll pitch very well at Chase Field. And their rotation is crazy enough as it was. Now they have very good 6-man rotation if you're including Jordan Montgomery. But they've got some absolute studs in that bullpen or in that rotation. I don't necessarily love their lineup, but I think the D-backs are going to be just fine this year. I mean, honestly, I think they could make some noise in the NL, just like they did 2 years ago.
I was going to say, just the fact that they've already been competitive, they already have the roster to continue to be competitive, and then they add him.
Yeah.
Like, that's just a good move. And you got to think Corbin Carroll is better than he was at the beginning of last year. He came on a little bit towards the end. If he can regain any sort of form from Rookie of the Year status, their lineup also
started to pick it up
better.
in the back half of last year, right?
Yeah. Dude, he was hitting like Mendoza line for the first 2 months.
I'm pretty sure they were hitting him very low to start, or in that stretch.
Yeah,
like he wasn't hitting leadoff.
Yeah. I'm still not sold on him, by the way. Like, it just looks funky. He's tiny.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, when he's on, it can be good.
His upper body doesn't move when he runs.
It just doesn't look.
Just all legs.
Well, he's fast, so let him do him there. Just like the swing looks so complicated that I'm not surprised that he can go through a 2-month slump. But also when things are going well, you're like, all right, this is legitimately one of the best players in the game. Yeah. He can do it all.
Yeah, their lineup's interesting. Love Ketel Marte. Hope my boy Eugenio Suarez has another good year. I like Gabby Moreno a lot too. As far as catchers go, like he's not the greatest hitter, but I believe he has one of the best catcher arms in the league. Those guys
just funny
like crazy.
Watching the rise of the Diamondbacks over the last couple of years. Nobody talks about them still.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Like I feel like people are starting to really talk about Ketel Marte, but
it took long.
Like they should have been talking about him 4 years ago.
Yeah,
I remember wanting the Reds to go get him before he blew up.
Yep.
But that's neither here nor there. They also just signed Randall Grichuk recently.
Saw that.
Which is interesting.
Fine.
It's also interesting having Alec Thomas on their bench because Jake McCarthy. But
yeah, Alec Thomas, I think, was supposed to be really good.
They got a scrappy ass squad.
They really do. They got a bunch of like really tiny guys who you're just like, how the heck are you playing in MLB? But they're good.
One of the greatest names in the league too, Blaze Alexander.
Yeah.
All right,
you played a lot for
move on to your next. Oh yeah.
All right, value. I think you know where I'm going. Any guesses? It's like value.
I don't know who I want to guess.
Okay,
just go.
All right, Keston Hiura.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he had to
I
make
hate
the
you.
list, dude. Why? Why?
Just because it's anybody listening to this that even watches baseball remotely probably doesn't even know that. Hell, he is.
That's okay. I'll educate you.
We'll go on and then educate.
He's only 27. Used to be a top prospect, right? He was the 9th overall pick when he was drafted. He was the 17th best prospect when he came up with the Brewers initially, right? And that was in 2019. So how many years ago is that now? Like 5-ish?
Yeah,
just beginning of 25. Hey, okay. Easy there, guy. But he comes up when he's 22. Doesn't really succeed, right? Can't really hit. He was supposed to be a good hitter. And now all of a sudden, like, he gets lost in the shuffle of things, moves teams, goes out to LA.
Gets sent to the minors.
And I just feel like he's completely forgotten about, but he's only 27.
Yeah.
He has the pedigree. And then he got trapped on a couple bad teams. Like, so be it. And now he ends up minor league contract in Colorado, the best hitting conditions.
Colorado. I've been trying to think of who the hell he's even on.
Yeah, like what? Because
I remember us talking about him recently.
What a dream spot for a minor league contract.
Oh yeah, it's probably nice too because like I feel like he was supposed to be good, kind of stuck, and then I feel like Colorado right now is a great place to go to kind of just blend in, figure stuff out, and then get your name known. Get dealt at the deadline.
Exactly. Like that seems like a perfect bounce back spot. So I love just like from a contract perspective or like taking a risk on a guy who very well might not make the team and might not see a single plate appearance this year. That's definitely in the cards. However, like he also has some sneaky, like okay stats, right? Like he has a career OPS of 758. Like he can bop it a little bit. His 162 game average just from his failed, right? MLB experience. He's got 28 home runs, and now you're going to Colorado.
Oh yeah.
Like if you crack into the opening day roster, like, and you just found 30 home runs off your bench.
That would be sick.
Not necessarily off your bench, but like out of a guy who you weren't planning on playing really. Like he just needs a good spring. I think there's plenty of opportunity there. And what if he improves? Once again, it's the third time I said it, but he's 27. Like he's just now getting into his prime. Like there's still years of improvement. Like give him another 3 years and he might be like one of the best signings I've ever seen in my life. So
their team's interesting.
I'm dialed in to Keston Hiura minor league stats and spring training stats to start today.
Year.
Yeah, he's so a couple years ago.
Have a weekly Keston Hiura update.
Yeah, we might need it. Yeah, I'm planting my flag there as like if there's a guy to watch that nobody will talk about on any other podcast.
Hey, but the Ducks on the Pod will be. I'll tell you that much.
Exactly. We'll be first ones to it. I was there for Brandon Drury the year he went to the Reds.
You sure were.
And I'm there now.
Big on Will Myers to the Reds.
No, I did think that would go a lot better, but that guy wasn't that good.
Who was it 2 years ago?
Jose Iglesias. We were there, like even though he wasn't young.
Yeah, if there's one thing to know about this podcast, we love Keston Hiura and Jose Iglesias.
Yeah, sure do.
Even though we don't love defense, well, I'll speak for myself. I don't love defense, but Jose Iglesias is the greatest shortstop of all time. I'll say it, and I'll say it loudly.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to watch him play. He's got the glove work.
See, that's my thing. I like good glove. Like flashy glove is fun to watch. Like Ellie, when he makes some of his plays, it's just unbelievable to watch. It's fun. But I don't need just the steady Eddie shortstop if he's going to be hitting 210 and hitting ninth. Like I'm kind of looking at it like a Orlando Arcia type of guy.
So
I hate that.
Did you like watching Andrelton Simmons? He was flashy, but he couldn't hit worth shit.
Yeah. See, like at least like so. Yeah, Ellie kind of stinks and makes bad plays that should be made that the average shortstop would make, but he makes the flashy plays. But then also he's just exciting as hell at the plate, and obviously he can crush the ball.
Yeah,
like
you don't want to win.
He's a weird one to be talking about in this because
you don't want to win.
Like
you just want your butt in the seat.
Yeah, exactly.
From your shortstop.
Resign him. Extend him now. All right. So we're gonna have a weekly installment of Keston Hero Watch.
I don't know. Dude, if he ever
I keep wanting to call him Heston Kira.
That's right.
Because of Kierstad. All right. That was your third, right?
Yeah, sure was.
Yeah. Wow, Keston Hira. Probably in the same exact boat as Keston Hira. For my third, we have Juan Soto. Same exact player.
Same boat. Yeah.
But no, so seriously, I did pick Juan Soto. And the only reason I did is because he went to the Mets. Because Steve Cohen was just like, I'm worth $20 billion. Fuck your luxury tax. Tell me what I owe. I'll pay it out. The check will be in the mail and you'll have it in 1 to 2 business days. The guy, like, I'm kind of shocked that he hasn't done that more. They did kind of overpay for Pete Alonso, but which I did find funny. I believe he signed a 2-year deal, $25 a year, but the qualifying offer was 21. Like the whole thing didn't quite make sense to me. I thought that they would have just given him a contract right off the rip, but then they just played this game back and forth. But I'm happy that Pete's back. Anyway, Juan Soto, guy's absolutely a stud. He's only had 2 seasons below 5 WAR, which I'm not a huge WAR guy, but it's good to look at in big numbers. I don't like WAR when it comes to talking about the next season. I like to talk about it when it's actual work. Yeah. Like what he actually did. So yeah, I mean, 15 years, $765 million is absurd with 51 average annual. He does have an opt out at 2030, which I forget how old he'd be then. But when you look at the whole $10 million per WAR, the reason I was saying he's only had 2 seasons below 5 WAR is because obviously 51 divided by 10 is 5.1. If the guy can just do 5 WAR every year, that's well worth it. And I think he will because I believe he was in the 8s last year. So those 2 seasons below 5, he had 2018, which was his rookie season. He only played 116 games and he still finished second rookie of the year. But if you extrapolate that out to 162, it would have been 4.19 WAR. Whatever. He's a rookie. Who cares? 2020. So even in a short season, he still amassed 2.4 and only played in 47 of those games. So if you calculate that out to 162, would have been 8.27. Or if you want to look at it as like, oh, well, he played 47 games, 13 of that, sure, let's call it rest. Even if you take that same ratio to 162, it's still 6.48. Like the guy's unreal. I hated it at first before I started looking into this, just because I think it's crazy to be paying him $50 million a year.
Yeah, it's shock value and the sticker price. Yeah.
But again, Steve Cohen is just like, I don't care. I want him. I'm a huge fan of the Mets. I'm going to do this. Like, and his defense blows, but
he doesn't even try.
It doesn't matter.
It will matter more.
Any run he gives up out in the field, he could easily next inning, assuming he's up, add it right back.
Yeah, he'll win far more games for you with the bat.
Yeah, I think my favorite part about it too is that it moves the aging Starling Marte to the bench or DH, I guess. But I mean, Starling Marte is still a great bench piece. I think he's 36 now. But I originally hated the Juan Soto signing because obviously it's an overpay. But I mean, he's the best hitter in the league. Makes sense.
Yeah, I agree. I mean,
who do you think is going to win the East?
at some point, before we get to that, at some point, if you want the best players, you have to overpay. The market's just going to make you. It's all about
I just hope it didn't
maximizing
screw
that
everything
time.
else over.
It's the same stuff with like Albert Pujols, right? Like when he went out to LA, the contract was huge. Everyone's like, it's so long. Like, yeah, you're paying full price for 10 years, but really you don't care about the last 5. It doesn't matter. Like you need those other 5 to get him for the first 5, and that's what you're trying to win.
Yeah,
so like
that's why contracts get so long, because
also
you're paying for prime.
I'm kind of surprised
and then giving
with
them comfortability as well.
Right. I'm kind of surprised with CBA stuff upcoming that Cohen's not just like loading up the books right now, even more so than he already has.
Yeah,
because you have to think there's got to be some sort of grandfathering in. Like they can't change the contracts. Like, but I also wouldn't be surprised if there's some, call it a salary cap, call it a.
I just don't understand how they would do that.
No, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's talk about leveling the field a little bit.
Yeah, they need to just make that tax like damaging.
Yeah,
like I don't know what the tax is now, but clearly they don't care.
No,
Steve Cohen doesn't care. I know there's multiple levels. He's like, I'll gladly go through that.
Any other level you'll make. It still won't matter how much the tax is because he's going to make far more money during Juan Soto's contract. Like it's not even funny. Like he's just parking his money in some investment that's growing probably 15% a year.
Yeah,
it's like that is infinite money. Infinite.
Mm-hmm. I'm shocked that they didn't defer any of it, but I think again it's because he's worth so much money that
it doesn't matter.
Like, why would I do that? I'll just pay it now.
Yeah. Well, also incentive for.
I'm sure
Soto,
someday.
Right?
Yeah,
I'm sure someday that offer from somebody else. He did.
Oh yeah. I'm sure at the back end of his career they'll probably restructure it.
Yeah,
but maybe not. Who knows?
Back to your question before we got on that tangent. Who's going to win the East? I think the Braves.
Yeah, Braves.
Yep.
I don't know. For some reason, I have a love-hate with the Phillies. But I think that it's going to be them. But we'll get into that the later episodes of the NL East, which I believe would be probably episode 5.
We can get into it a little bit right now because my favorite trade of the offseason involves the Phils.
Oh, let's hear it.
Jesus Luzardo.
Wow, love that.
Yeah, like talk about maximizing your window, right? Like he's young, he's still under control. He's pretty good.
Their rotation's going to be filthy.
I think, he's slotted as their 5th starter right now, which is nuts.
Yeah.
And it kicks
Kyle He's had his ups and downs, but the dude is very talented.
To the pen. Yeah. So the thing about the Phils, they're a little bit old, right?
Yeah.
Like their core is all.
They're still shoving it.
32-ish. From a hitting standpoint, Zach Wheeler's 35 almost. Aaron Nola's 32, which is actually younger than I think a lot of people realize, but he's got miles on the arm.
Oh, yeah.
But you look at a guy like Jesus Luzardo, he's been on terrible teams, just awful teams in Miami and Oakland.
Yeah.
Right? Like, he's not really been in the competitive atmosphere. And also, he's been the prospect with, like, not a whole lot of guys around him who are seasoned and kind of showing the ropes. So I think he's kind of missed a little bit of that development. And now you just slot him into a rotation with Zach Wheeler and Aaron Nola. Like, you're going to learn. You're going to be in a competitive atmosphere. You're going to be the 5th starter and not like this top-end prospect who, like, has all the expectations. So I just think it's a much easier situation for somebody like him to thrive. And, like, he's pretty good from what we've seen. I mean, 2 of the last 3 years, he's had an ERA under 4. So a little bit of a drop-off last year. But I think he is a likely candidate to regain that form. He's only 27. He's still, I mean, he's funny. He still has options too. Like that's how young he is. Like they can send him down if things don't go well. But I think, I think he's the best kind of under the radar ish trade. Like obviously you can pick any big one. Like, all right, this team traded for a closer. Obviously that has a larger impact potentially than Jesus Luzardo, but you have to maximize they're in win now mode He's going to be a great piece. Get you the amount of you have to chase wins during the regular season if you're them.
Yeah.
Like they're in a very competitive division, so you need a full rotation. Whereas we were talking about like the Braves a little bit, their lineup's so good, like they can get by with like okay fourth, fifth starters because their offense will pick up that burden. Whereas the Phillies, obviously a great lineup as well, but like what happens if there is a drop off? I mean, Schwarber, Turner, Harper, Castellanos, they have Kepler now, Real Muto. They're all 32 plus.
Yeah. And so what actually happened in that trade? I'm looking it up right now, but
2 prospects.
Yeah. So I see the one guy, Starlin Caba. He's 81st on the top 100. So, yeah, I mean, they got a good return for it, too. But they didn't have to give away. I mean, Trey Turner's going to be there forever. He's probably going to move to second at some point. But
you can afford to give away prospects right now if you're the Phillies, because those prospects, by the time they're up, like, what are they going to do for you? You're not going to be winning anymore anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Like, you need, like, single A prospects at this point, because you're inevitably going to go through this. Like, we just blew a lot of money over the last couple of years. All our core is gone, like just decimated. Oh, yeah. They're all like using walkers to get around the clubhouse. They're so old. Like they got, you know, like 2-ish more years. I mean, you can't have a whole lineup of 35. Like JT Real Muto is a catcher and he's 34, about to be 34.
Free agent next year too.
Yes. Like,
yeah. And they signed
still good.
Kepler is 32.
Exactly. Like they're all at the end of their prime. They still will have a couple good years, I'm sure, especially with the lineup depth here going forward. However, like, it's still not space for a prospect to come in and just take over one of those guys.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good trade from that aspect.
You know what I think is crazy that I just learned? I would have guessed that Brandon Marsh was like probably the oldest guy on the team.
Yeah.
Of their starting 9, he's the youngest.
Yeah. Crazy. Yeah, he's
including Bohm and Stock.
Yep. That's nice.
I don't know if it's the beard and long hair, but I just feel like I've seen his name forever.
Yeah. It's kind of like the Charlie Blackmon look-alike type thing. Or like Jason Worth. Like those guys with the big, like bushy, look like a lumberjack type beard. You just assume like, no way this guy's 24.
No.
Because Marsh was kind of in that same boat when he was on. It's like, this guy has to be 32 already.
Dude, they're like the Reds. They've got 3 platoon hitters.
Yep.
Yeah, well, I'm sure we'll talk plenty of Reds at some point. All right, so my favorite trade. I thought there was plenty of good ones this year, which I started making a list. Obviously, they're very Reds and Cubs focused. So I tried. So I was just scrolling through a list of all the different trades that's happened this offseason, and I was like, oh, yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. That's a good one. And it's all just Cubs and Reds.
You're such a homer.
I know. But I was like, Presley to the Cubs. I did have Luzardo on there. Obviously,
it took
I love
everything I had not to choose Presley to the Cubs, by the way.
Yeah, I thought you were going to pick Tucker.
I avoided the Cubs. Hey, baseball podcast. It's about the whole league.
Yeah. I avoided the Reds as well. Just they're on my list. I do like the Lux to Reds. I think it'll be interesting to see how that goes. Kyle Tucker's going to smash in Wrigley. I actually think that Isaac Paredes to the Astros is a good move as well.
Just for the Astros.
Because of the boxes. Yeah, just for the Astros. And then I did type Singer to the Reds, India to the Royals. But Jimenez on there as well. But my favorite is Garrett Crochet to the Red Sox.
Yeah.
Because their rotation kind of stinks outside of Hawk. Bellows getting better. Cutter Crawford, I feel like, could be better. But putting him up there is just huge for them. It's much needed strength to the rotation. I do sincerely hope that they extend him as soon as possible, because that's what the guy wants anyway.
I was going to say, good for him getting out of Chicago, first of all.
Yes.
So congratulations to him, his doing or not.
Yeah. So I was looking up his Savant page. It's funny that, so like he was good before, but what made him elite last year was adding in a cutter, which I thought was very interesting.
Yeah.
but that's what kind of stepped him up and made him become just the absolute stud that he is. What I don't love about the trade is that the Red Sox did give away they've been talking about Kyle Teal as their catching prospect forever, and they got rid of him. However, they still were able to keep their top three, which are MLB's number 2, 7, and 12 in Anthony Campbell and Meyer. So I feel like the Red Sox did a very good trade there, but they need to extend him as soon as possible. I just don't know if they will.
If I would play GM for a day, I would not believe one bit catcher prospect rankings.
Oh, yeah. I would just sign a crappy
It's such a big jump. Yeah. Dude, that is how I would like it. Give me the 35-year-old, like, great at calling the game, great at framing, and we'll hit 210. I'll take that all day as my catcher. Pretty much, yeah. Even though
sure
it's painful to watch.
I just don't
want to spend money.
My last Tucker Barnhart dig on this show.
It's just like you don't need your catcher to be exciting. You don't need your catcher to be middle of the lineup hitter because then they play some of the fewest games of anybody. It's hard to project them out for a while. Like, why would you tie up so many resources in a catching prospect knowing that the likely scenario is they stink? Like, some good catchers, like, they come out of nowhere. All of a sudden you're like, who the heck is this guy?
Yeah, like you have random seasons where like James McCann hits 300 all season as a backup catcher.
Yep.
Or the Devin Mesorakos of the world before he got hurt.
This is so hard to project out. So, like, I'd give up my catching prospects all day, every day. And just
it's just such an injury-prone position.
Known commodity. Yeah.
Yeah. I dig it. All right. So that was talking some free agents and trades. How do you think we did in our first discussion?
Not bad. I mean, we're at...
I think it went great.
How long was that, you think? 45 minutes?
I don't know.
Did you look at what time we started actually talking?
I didn't.
Not pre-stuff?
No. All right. So the next thing on our agenda was to talk kind of difference between the PECOTA standings and then the actual standings from last year. I thought it was weird that there's only 4 teams projected to have 90 wins or more.
Can you share your screen here?
I can.
Because I've not seen this at all. So this is going to be first look at PECOTA.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Give me a second. But no, so there's only 4 teams that were predicted to have 90 wins or more, and all 4 of them are in the NL, which I think is very interesting. That's not what I wanted. That's not what I wanted. Here we go. So obviously we got the real standings from last year on the right, PECOTA standings on the left. So no one in the AL is getting 90 wins apparently. When we did have only 3 last year, but I feel like maybe the AL is fine, but the NL I just think is interesting. There's 3 90 winners, and the Dodgers obviously at 103.
Yeah,
Reds at 73 is a little bit understatement, but it's just interesting to me. I don't know, because then so I also made a spreadsheet of it. I don't know if you can see this very well.
Yeah.
So here's the difference from what they're saying this year to last year. A negative means that obviously the record got worse. And then this is a ranking of it.
So
obviously the
team with the largest improvement.
Absolutely hope that the White Sox are a little bit. Yeah, I would hope that they're better. Angels are also listed as much better. I do think that the Rangers will be much better. Yeah. They had a lot of injury issues last year, and they get Jacob deGrom back. This is the one that
to win
is
that
the most
division
interesting to me is Toronto.
Good bet, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Houston's downfall. Seattle can't hit, and there's a hit piece on T-Mobile Park. I do think the Angels are going to be sneaky weird. I don't know why. I'm going to do a full in-depth.
They still have
breakdown.
The best signing
of the
offseason.
Our first week is this division, so
they still have the best signing of the offseason. And by signing, it's not a signing, but a new player in Mike Trout. He's still top 5 player in baseball.
I just want him. I need him to stay healthy.
I know. It's always the big risk. But a lot of times it's like, what did this team do? What did that team do? Like, sometimes not doing anything at all is the best because he's just always hurt and you can't move him. It's not worth the risk of moving him.
Yeah,
but
he's still elite.
Last year to this year, you get one of the best hitters in baseball added to your team.
Yeah, they've like weirdly spent some money this year.
Yeah.
But also have signed just a bunch of just random players.
Mm-hmm.
Like their team would have been great in 2019. Have you seen that Instagram post? I forget who all they signed, but like Jorge Soler is one of them. And they're like Jorge Soler, Mike Trout, and these two other guys. They're like, this team would have been fantastic in 2019.
Yep.
It's just funny to look at.
But
the one I found the most interesting was the Phillies. Actually, no, the Padres. They sent the Padres down to 84 wins from 93 last year.
Yeah, they're just a little bit caught in between, I think, right now.
Yeah. It's also interesting. They predicted the Rockies to have less wins than they did last year, and they only had 61.
To me, it's crazy.
They predicted the White Sox to be 5 wins better than the Rockies.
Why?
It's just and then the Marlins 6 wins better. At least the Rockies have like good pieces.
I agree. I mean,
their rotation's just trash.
Yeah, that's the thing. They don't have a good enough offense to overcome the rotational issues. So on FanDuel right now, the Rangers are plus 200, tied with the Mariners to win that division. The Mariners have done absolutely nothing.
Ooh, yeah. And I saw a post right before we got on this that I think it was in January sometime, but they DFA'd a AAA, I think he plays outfield. I can't think of his name right now, but the dude in like a very small minor or major league appearance was just absolutely crushing it, and they just DFA'd him the other day. It's like all you guys talk about is we need offense, and then you get rid of a guy that's shown in a small sample that can actually hit the ball.
Like, so they lost Nate Lowe, right? Lau, whichever one he is. But they still have Simeon, Seager, Wyatt Langford, who's up and coming.
Back to Rangers. Yes.
Yep, sorry. Jock Peterson, Adolis.
You're good. I was confused for a second.
Josh Young.
I forgot they got Jock.
They got Jake Berger. I know you're a huge Jake Berger fan. Like, to replace Lowe, like their lineup's still good.
Yeah.
And then they have Ezekiel Duran.
Even if DeGrom only pitches 10 starts.
Yeah. That's the thing. Like, their rotation, if anything were to happen, might be terrible. But they still got a lineup that can overcome it, I think. Like, no, I just don't believe that they should have the same odds as the Mariners.
Yeah.
I mean, they're plus 200. Everybody in the division's plus money, but they pretty much have it.
That'll be an interesting one to watch.
Mariners and Rangers is like all equal favorites in a way. Astros just slightly favored.
That's why I was kind of saying, like, I could see the Angels or A's fucking around and doing something stupid.
Like, they might cannibalize each other a little bit.
Yeah.
Just keep the overall win total a little bit low and let them. But I think that's super unlikely.
I just can't wait to watch
in the range of
Sacramento.
But not like.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be funny, though, if the A's make the playoffs and they have a home game? Like, do you think I guess we can talk about that next week or the next episode since we're going into the West. But
save that.
We could have a lot of fun with that division. Yeah, we're going to save that one. But here's my favorite one, Jake. And PECOTA agrees with me on this one.
That Milwaukee's bad all the time.
Stink. Yeah. They stink.
They should stink this year.
They had 93 wins because they cannibalized a bad division.
That's still pretty bad.
I don't know if I would even argue that it's gotten much better.
I
don't know if I would argue that it's gotten much better. The Cubs did. I think the Reds did.
I don't think the Cubs got that much better. Everyone thinks the Cubs got so good. I don't think the Cubs got that good. As a Cubs fan, I don't think that.
I mean, Kyle Tucker or Belly, I'll have all day.
I think that's an improvement, sure. But I don't think it's as drastic of an improvement as people think. Like, Belly was so good with the Cubs. So good.
Yeah.
That
I feel like he crushed the Reds too.
He crushed everybody. The thing is, he was so good hitting against righties and lefties. Just like the strength of each at bat was incredible. Like, he was so hard to strike out. Obviously, he has a little bit of pop. He could play center field, he could DH, he could play first base. Like, you have added defensive and lineup versatility just from that alone. Do I think Kyle Tucker's better? Yes, but it also handcuffs you from a depth perspective, and I don't think the Cubs have that much depth. Also, right now, our third baseman is Matt Shaw, who is going to be a fresh face. So, no one knows how that's going to go. Obviously, he has the pedigree of being a top prospect. Hopefully, it goes well. Root for the guy, obviously, as a Cubs fan, but that's a lot of eggs in that basket.
Yeah. That's one thing I love about baseball, is that a prospect coming up could just be the difference maker. Even if he only gets it
could be an all-star right off the bat. You never know.
Because it's a question mark. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the fun part.
It could go poorly.
All right, is there anything – sorry, go on.
And then as far as pitching for the Cubs, Shota, I think, started 7-0 last year and had the lowest ERA in the league. And then once people started seeing him again, he was neutralized to some degree. So, I don't see how the Cubs got that much better. We don't have Albert Alzolay closing games now. So, that's also an improvement. I'm not saying they aren't improved, but, did they really improve that much? I don't think so. Yeah. They missed the playoffs last year.
Well,
they should be a playoff team this year. Obviously, that throws a hat in the ring. Last year, no. That was 2 years ago when Seiya dropped the fly ball.
Oh, no, I didn't forget about that. But
and it was a collapse. But, I'm scared of a lot of teams in the NL Central just because anything can happen. None of the teams are that good. I don't think the Cubs are all that good.
I think I disagree with you on that, which I think is funny because you're the Cubs fan. I'm not.
I know. Maybe it's just being pessimistic because I got to protect myself. But in a series against a team that I actually think is good, if we were to play the Mets, if we were to play the Dodgers, if we were to play the Braves, we're not close to that.
Yeah.
So all we might have is a hat in the ring. You hope you get hot at the right time.
Yeah. Make some good
and to have a hat in the ring, you
deals.
need your prospect to be good.
Yes.
And you need your staff to be good.
Yeah. I stopped sharing my screen, but another one I thought was interesting is that they're projecting Cleveland to be one game, kind of right at 500, which I thought was very interesting.
Yeah, they're always overlooked.
But I think that's it, right? Well, and Jimenez, but
it doesn't matter. I mean, that's just one of those organizations that they do so much right at such a early level of development. They're going to be good. Yeah. They're always good. They're one of the best run teams. And
I also think it's the AL Central in these projections is the most interesting because it has the Twins winning the division again. Mm-hmm. Kansas City, Cleveland, and Detroit all projected at either 80 or 71 wins, or 80 or 81 wins, which I don't really think the Royals are that good. I think Bobby Witt just is very good. Yeah. And they had some guys get hot at the right time. And
you aren't too excited. When you read some of their
Same
names.
thing with the Tigers. I don't think the Tigers are that good either.
Yeah. They got the staff for it, though.
Yeah. But there's just who's exciting in the Tigers lineup besides Riley Green?
Javi Baez is always exciting.
It's not Spencer Torkelson. It's not Javi Baez.
Man, I can't believe I let you beat me to the Spencer Torkelson thing. That's my shtick.
Yeah, but again, so the next couple episodes, we're gonna be talking about division previews, spring training spring training storylines to watch for in each division. So we're first step's going to be about the AL West, which, like we were just talking about, could get very exciting. We'll spend probably 5 minutes, but the way this is going, we'll probably spend 20 minutes on each team and really dive into it. We'll give out division awards for each division, who we think is going to make it, if we think they're going to make the wild card, and then basically always ask the question of what is it going to take for this team to make the playoffs with what they have now. Like the Angels, for instance, it's going to be like healthy Mike Trout, blah, blah, blah. And then what to expect during the season. We obviously cannot wait for the season to start. But we'll have weekly breakdowns of the games, series standings. We'll probably have at minimum 2 episodes a week. Hopefully we do 3, but that's just me. Obviously we'll have some hot takes, some arguments.
Plenty
like
of
to
those.
argue about baseball on this. Yeah.
Plenty of each of those along the way.
Yeah. So we'll try to keep you updated on power rankings. Maybe we'll even power rank them ourselves, but we have to agree upon it, which will be interesting. Yeah. Like I said before, the advanced stat breakdown. And then as we get going and we get a little bit more comfortable, and we'll start bringing on some guest appearances, both probably just to start, a couple of our buddies come on, chat it up, add some freshness to it. But then as we get on, hopefully we get a little bit bigger and we start getting some actual industry faces on here and get some interesting conversations going.
Look forward to it.
But yeah, so we are on all the socials right now. We're on Instagram and Twitter. I'll be putting those on the screen probably.
If you can figure out that.
Eventually we'll probably be on. Yeah. And then eventually, if the United States government can figure out TikTok, we'll probably be on that. Maybe Snapchat. Who knows? I don't even know if Snapchat's that cool anymore. But now we want to hear from you guys. So we want to hear some comments, some thoughts, some feedback, topic requests for future episodes. If we had some dumb takes, if we had good takes, segment ideas, the whole run of it. Yeah, please roast
Matt for how many times he brought up the Reds in this podcast.
Yes. Absolutely. Go Reds. REDS, Reds or Dreads. But that's it for me. Do you have any closing thoughts, Jake?
I'm good. I'm excited to get this going. Once again, thanks so much for all you've done to get this thing off the ground and running. So I think we got some good days ahead and a lot of topics. Obviously, we talk about it every day anyways, you and I. But just to get it in an organized fashion instead of just rant mode. So I'm excited, looking forward to what the year has to bring, and hopefully we have a bunch of good baseball to talk about.
Yeah, that's going to be the thing for me. It's going to be weird because like we shouldn't be talking to each other about baseball every day because then it decreases what's going on here.
Yeah,
but that's going to be hard to do.
We'll be all right.
Yeah,
we have plenty to talk about.
Yeah. All right, well, that's going to do it. Have a good week, everybody.
Sounds good. That's a wrap on number 1.
Yeah.